Hello everyone and welcome back to For Emblem Heroes. So as you can see we have a new character for the showcase this week and it is indeed Marisa. So Marisa is a free character that you will get from the Tempest Trial or now from the Grail shop, and I did manage to get her up to +6. She was probably my first plan about the Grail system that I wanted to do. Eventually of course I ran into other units that I also liked, if not more as much, so I kinda stopped at +6 and I never looked back. However, she's probably one of my most solid units that I use sometimes when the situation requires it, and I also felt like since this week, or rather since last week we had the rerun of the Desert Mercenaries banner and the Forging Bonds, it made sense to feature her in a showcase. So if you don't know, we also have all the Forging Bond stories for Gerik and the other mercenaries in the channel, so go check them out if you want. And I am not rolling on the rerun because I am out of orbs. There is no other excuse. I am still trying to get Ingrid. Hopefully I manage to get her before the next banner rolls around. Not this one that is coming Friday, but the one after. Sorry, not even the one after, which is the Dancers. The one right after, which should be the Choose Your Legends banner. And then we will see if I manage to do a decent pull. Maybe if the banner later this week is decent, I will try to do something, but I don't give you guarantees. So, of course, since this week features new Forging Bonds on Friday, this will be the only showcase this week. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. We will go through summoning dialogue, level 40 dialogue, art, builds, animations and gameplay as usual. So, thank you very much for watching, and now I will see you later on the builds, and I'll see you later. Bye. Alright, so here we are with Marisa. We will check out her stat line and then her base build. As you can see, it is indeed 40 +6, so you have to count that when you see her stat. I don't really remember her original stat line, however, I can say one thing. She has a crazy amount of HP for an infantry red unit. Like, at +6 she has 55 HP. Have you ever seen an infantry unit with so many HP? I haven't. Which means that of course most of her abilities will depend on her HP. There are tons of abilities like the boost, like the infantry pulse, that depend on the fact that you have higher HP than your enemy, and we will check out that later. So she has also a decent attack and speed stat line, mostly thanks to the Wudao plus getting a refine on speed, as you can see here. She has also a really decent stat line on defense and an average stat line on resistance. So overall I can say that she's meant to be an enemy phase infantry unit, that most of the time you will build her to counter the melee units rather than the mages, because 23 is not enough to build around a really solid counter mage unit. However, 32 defense is really good, especially since you have such a high amount of speed and HP that makes you able to get some interesting builds. Now, let's check out her base build. So, Marisa comes out with 4 skills, which are the Wudao, the Glimmer, the HP Defense 2, and the Infantry Pulse 3. I added the Desperation and the Panic Ploy. Now, let's check out the base skills. So, the Wudao is fairly simple. It is a +10 damage when special triggers. It should be flat damage, so if you get, for example, 0 damage on your special, you will always do 10, which is amazing, especially when you go against a color that isn't yours. You can upgrade the Wudao in the weapon refinery. You can give it either speed, power, or other stuff that usually get on those weapons. I suggest going for speed because for her stat line it makes more sense. You can always go for defense for her defensive build, however I don't recommend it, since speed makes you able to tank the most powerful infantry units, which are usually red high speed units such as Larcei or Ike and so on, that require you to have a similar amount of speed to not get double attack. So we have Glimmer, standard ability, boost damage dealt by 50%. We have HP defense 2, which grants her HP plus 4 and defense plus 2, which makes her have around 60 HP and 34 defense. You can do better, you don't really need so many HP. Then we have Desperation that I gave her because she can do air follow-up attack before the enemy can counter-attack, which most of the time means that you will be able to pull off what you want to do with her, since with a cooldown on 2 and thanks to the infantry pulse, you shouldn't die usually against the enemy and you should be able to kill them. Of course, hardy bearing and other skills not considered, she should be decent with Desperation 3 on most of her skill sets. So then we have those two abilities, which as I said earlier depend on her HP. So let's read. At the start of turn 1, grants a special cooldown -1 to all infantry allies on team with HP minor to units HP. What does this mean? So you have Marisa, you build a team around Marisa, which is all of infantry units. Blue or green or red, it doesn't matter, they just need to be infantry. All those units have lower HP than Marisa, and so all the units get special cooldown -1. You can see how this can be powerful, because unit with high speed and a special with a cooldown of 2 will be able to pull off their special immediately, which makes some maps and some other modes really easy. This of course can be used on other units, however on Marisa the guarantee that you will be able to pull off this one is very high. On DS, another ability that depends on HP, at the start of turn converts bonuses on foes in cardinal direction with HP minor than units HP into penalties through their next actions. So this is basically a debuffer that turns buff of enemies in cardinal direction into debuffs, but only if Marisa has higher HP than them. With 55 HP, I can safely say that most of the time this will trigger, unless the enemy has 60 HP for some reason, but that doesn't happen usually, and you will be able to dispel some really nasty buffs that usually units have both in arena and outside of arena, which makes really good with this specific seal on DS. I suggest not having it on DS because infantry pulse or any other ability that interacts with Marisa usually is better. So this is the base build. Let's move on to the first build, which is probably the one that I did long time ago when I first built her. I think I sacrificed an Ike, probably a Brave Ike or a Legendary Ike, I don't remember, to build this Marisa, so you will have to apologize to me for doing that. This is basically just a little change on her skill set, but a meaningful one, if I should say so. So Marisa, as you can see, can have a really good potential on enemy phase, so I told myself which is the best tank ability to give her on A, which is the slot that you need to replace to make her more tanky, I should say. I considered either a pause ability or a breath ability. So what's the benefit of having a breath? So when the enemy attacks you and you have a breath ability, their special cooldown charge goes up of 1, it doesn't go down. For most units, their special is the way to destroy the enemy, so having those abilities delayed makes you even more tanky. Now, which breath would have been the best? I had two considerations, higher speed or steady breath. I went for steady breath because it grants her +4 defense, which means that she goes up to 36 defense. So now you might ask, how well is this build? For now, I have tried her on many different maps and she works really well, especially if you pair up with the Wudao, the Desperation and the Infantry Pulse 3, she will pull off Glimmer really easily. You can also switch out Glimmer for Moonbow, which most of the time will be better. However, I don't really recommend doing it all the time, because remember that Moonbow is situational compared to Grimmer. Grimmer is more standard, it is more raw damage, and you do that. Moonbow depends more on the enemy. If it has low defense and rest or high defense and rest, it does different things. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. The other abilities are the same, the Seal and the Sea are mostly the same. We have special tank damage, so this one is probably the second build that I used. I don't usually give her Vrat because it is really situational on what you want to do. But however, Vrat stacks with the Wudao, which means that you get plus 20 on your special, and if it's Moonbow, usually it means that you will be able to one-shot the enemy. This is once again an enemy face build, as you can tell by the steady breath and the hardy bearing, and this one makes her able to dispel the changing of order abilities, which means that you won't get advantage when you attack on her on your own face. So this is probably a sort of mixed build between a tank and a special attacker. However, I really like it because it makes a full use of both her steady breath after you attack and her Vrat when you attack. So let's read what Vrat does. At the start of turn, if your HP is minus or equal to 75% and unit attack trigger special, grant special cooldown -1 and deals plus 10 damage when special triggers. So this means that, for example, Marisa attacks, she has Moonbow ready, she does Moonbow, then she does one attack, and again she has Moonbow ready for the turn after. So with infantry pulls, this means that you should be able to pull Moonbow every turn, which is really, really good. We will check that out later. I might want to equip this build, or maybe the one after, because I don't... No, I mean I can use this build. So let's go with this one for the gameplay showcase. The last build is more of an offensive take or player face take on Marisa, if you will. It has also Wudao and Moonbow. As usual, I didn't try to replace her weapons, because I know that inheriting weapons is kinda the worst part of units, because they are really hard to come by. And I gave her life and death 3. Why? Because of course you can trade off your high stats of defense and rest when you want her to be purely an attack unit, which means that she gets up to 52 attacks and 48 speed. 48 speed is indeed a ton, so you can say that it is really, really high. And there is another ability that it is level 1 because I didn't upgrade the Seal since it only works on her so far, which is the boost abilities. So the boost abilities work when your unit HP is higher than the HP plus 3, and it grants attack, speed, defense, whatever the boost is. If it is fire, earth or water, depends on the one unit. So this, of course, as you can see, is really good with Marisa, because at level 3 it grants her plus 6 attack. With the 52 attacks it gets her up to 58. Now 58 attack is really, really good. And with 58 attack you can see why you want her to go with Vrat and infantry pulls once again to trigger the Moonbow with this combo. So this is my most offensive take of Marisa. You probably can replace Life and Death 3 with Fury, with other abilities that benefit by granting her stats. I feel like this one is the most easy to get, especially if you want to go for a budget build. And what I want to say about Marisa is that she's really interesting, probably a niche unit in what she does, but that's why I like it, because sometimes having different units with different stuff makes them able to get abilities like this fire boost, which usually you don't see on any unit. And I hope that you guys take into consideration those builds, and maybe it makes you able to build your own Marisa out of the Grail shop if she's the one that you are aiming for. Anyway, as I said earlier, next time that we will see each other will be likely for the Forging Bonds for this week. Hopefully we get some really good stories, and I hope that I will see you there in the comments to enjoy the story with me when I upload them. So this is the showcase for this week. Next week will probably be maybe a character from the series from which the next character banner is from. I hope it isn't 3 houses, or it will be another 3 houses unit, maybe Petra, because I have 2 copies of her. And thank you very much for watching. Now we will move on to the gameplay showcase. I hope that you will stick around to see Marisa in action and her animations. And if you do, thank you very much. I hope that you also leave a like, your own feedback or builds for Marisa. And if you want to support me, I hope that you also sub. Thank you very much once again for watching, and I will see you next time. Lodge is out.
Moving out. This'll just take a moment.
Oh, but Good morning.
Nice!
Darkness.
You need to get serious. This'll just take a moment. Who do I slice? You need to get serious.
Maybe this way. Sun's up.
Okay. This'll just take a moment. Moving out.
So far.
Who do I slice?
Ready.
Who should I prank? Meet my blade. Moving out.
Oh, but Oh, how lovely.
Okay. This'll just take a moment.
Alrighty then. Maybe this way.
You need to get serious. Meet my blade. This'll just take a moment.